Bro, it's 2020. Why the hell are we still shooting Micro Four Thirds? Dude, chill. Are you kidding me? It's the bokeh, dog. I need the bokeh. Dude, you're out shooting with the Sigma. That's like a ton of bokeh. Yeah, so? I need the autofocus too. I already don't like you and now you're turning into a full frame, bro. Look, just give me like 3 good reasons why we shouldn't switch to full frame. Okay. Yo guys, what is going on? Jake Felzine here, back with another video. Today we're doing a boring studio talking video. We had all the fun in the intro, which was a lot of fun, by the way. I'm like totally nerding out with the smoke machine and slow motion, and it's just a good time. It's a lot of fun. But the rest of this video, you have been forewarned, is a boring talking heads video, so if you're not about that, today we are talking about Micro Four Thirds cameras, why I still in 2020 own 3 Micro Four Thirds cameras and use them 100%. That's the only system that I use for YouTube, client work, photography, all across the board. Why do I still use it? And then at the end, we're also gonna dive into why maybe in 2020, cyber futuristic, why this year I think this year is going to be the year that I buy my first full frame camera. We'll kind of talk about that at the end. So anyway, first let's talk about why to this day I still shoot Micro Four Thirds. Guys, the number one reason, and this is not the most important reason, but it is a very important reason, is it's just the system that I bought into from the beginning. The first camera that I bought 2 years ago was the Panasonic G7, and I think really when you are starting, again, hopefully a lot of you are kind of trying to figure out for the first time which camera you want to buy, do your research, pick a lane, try to, as best as you can, ask yourself, what camera, or really what do I want to shoot, what do I want to film, what do I want to photograph, whatever the case may be, and then try to find a system that works for you and try to stick with it for, I would say, at least 2 years. Micro Four Thirds for me at the time was very cost effective. It got me 4K video, it got me started on YouTube, checked all of my boxes, and I just started buying lenses. And so G7 2 years ago, and then I bought the G9, which was my first sort of professional camera. I love this camera still to this day. Really for me, guys, I bought this camera and then I started buying lenses. I started getting lenses that would work with this system. And from there, it just made a lot of sense to buy more bodies that fit my need as I was growing in this Micro Four Thirds system. So for example, for my client cinema work, we've got the, Blackmagic over here is my A/B cam. And then for kind of my all-arounder, my perfect run and gun, YouTube, photography if you need to, the GH5S, which is probably my favorite camera of all time. I love this camera. So anyway, that is kind of why I'm still here today for the most part, is just it's cost effective, right? If you're constantly jumping systems, you're gonna lose money. And what value are you really getting? You want to ask yourself that. So again, do your research. Hopefully today kind of helps maybe why you would want to go down the Micro Four Thirds lane. Do your research, pick a lane, and stick with it. The second big reason, and guys, this is my number one reason why I haven't left Micro Four Thirds today, is 4K video at 60 frames per second. Even my G9, which is a photography-based camera and takes amazing photos and like really fast photos, shoots 4K 60 video. GH5S, 4K 60 video. Blackmagic, 4K 60 raw video or 4K 60 ProRes video. All of these cameras have 4K 60. Now again, maybe this is a feature that isn't that important to you, but it's very important to me, and I'm going to explain why. In fact, I'm going to have a whole subsequent video talking about one major problem that I face on a daily basis is what you guys saw in the intro. Me on YouTube, I film myself a ton. That's primarily what I do, is I'm filming myself on tripods and gimbals and wide angles and whatever. And so having 4K to be able to add a little bit of that handheld shake, a little bit of that punching in, or just a little bit of movement. Again, I try not to overdo it, because if you overdo the digital stuff, it becomes really obvious. But if you just add a subtle little bit of movement, it's amazing. It adds a ton to your footage, and it really disguises that you're the one putting stuff on tripods and filming yourself. And then of course, the other reason I love 4K 60 is you're getting that 60 frames per second. So if you want, you can do slow motion with that, which again, I love my slow motion. I'm a total slow motion like junkie. And so for me, having that 4K 60 or higher frame rates at full HD is just really nice, and all of these cameras have awesome options in that department. 4K is gonna save your bacon when it comes to YouTube because, again, you can do it in 1080, but you're just really potentially, on YouTube it's not as apparent, but you do start to see some quality loss when you punch in on that stuff. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is just general ergonomics. I have been so pleased with especially the Panasonic cameras and the Blackmagic camera as well on the ergonomics for their use cases. The Blackmagic is an amazing camera, has awesome specs, you know, phenomenal UI. Panasonic cameras have a phenomenal UI. They're very user-friendly and easy to customize, easy to find stuff in the menus. They're just great cameras, and they're small, right? Their form factor is very small. Their lens footprints are very small. For example, this is my telephoto lens, and it's pretty much the same size as my 12 to 35, which is the lens on here. And this can reach all the way out to about a 300 millimeter equivalent, so it's a very good telephoto lens. And it's just tiny. I mean, it protrudes when you zoom, but still, for just sitting on the camera or sitting in a bag, it's a tiny little lens. As someone who does a lot of run and gun shooting, someone who's going outdoors a lot, haven't done near enough this winter, but someone who goes outdoors a lot, small form factor, ergonomics, and ease of use is huge. That's like my number, well, I said 4K 60 was my number one, but usability is big, guys. It is right up there with that 4K 60 because I need to be able to use these cameras in a lot of situations quickly and efficiently, and also not break my back when I'm hauling them around, which is why I love these things. Also, real quick, let's touch on value. These cameras are ridiculously affordable for what you get. The GH5S is a little bit of a niche camera. It's a little bit more expensive, but the Panasonic G9, amazing stabilization, amazing photography camera, amazing video camera, and I think right now you can pick this thing up for like, I wanna say like 900 bucks. I think it's dipped below the 1,000 mark, and it's got a flip screen, so it's great for YouTube. Really, in a lot of ways, this camera is phenomenal. Another great one is this one filming me right over here, the Blackmagic Pocket. Guys, I love this camera. I love it, I love it, I love it. It is phenomenal. 4K 60 raw video, 4K 24 raw video, 120 frame per second raw video. It's a beast. This thing is amazing, and it's like 1,200 bucks. The price may have dropped since I bought it, but I bought it for 1,200 bucks, and it's phenomenal. Amazing value, amazing image quality. You cannot get image quality like you get from this camera at this price point anywhere else. It looks so good. So just overall value, guys, Micro Four Thirds gives you a lot. The other big bonus is if you do want to adapt lenses, because the sensor is so small and the flange distance from the sensor to the lens is so small, you can pretty much adapt anything. Right now, this main camera we're shooting on is the GH5S, and I'm using the Sigma 18 to 35 on this camera with a speed booster, and it's getting you a pretty close to full frame look on this shot right here. And again, it's just it's adaptable. It's a dynamic system where you can do small Micro Four Thirds lenses if you need them, or you can adapt some big full frame glass and get a really cool look from it as well. Which leads me to my final point in this video, guys. This setup right here, the one, this down this lane right here with the GH5S is one of my favorite combinations that I've ever used. I love the color science. I love the look of this lens with this camera, and I just have been having so much fun. I keep trying to use my other lenses and take the Sigma off of the GH5S, and I just keep coming back. I am loving the results that I'm getting out of this camera. And to be honest with you guys, when you do the math with the speed booster, this camera with this lens is super close to full frame. I mean, when you're kind of watching, like, I don't know if it's a little bit hard to tell, but like if you compare like the Blackmagic's look over here to this look on this camera, we're shooting at like a 1.2, this just looks pretty close to full frame. And so with that being said, after I've just raved about all of the benefits of Micro Four Thirds, why I still use them and why I think it makes a lot of sense, part of me, and maybe it is just kind of an itch that I need to scratch, kind of a toy that I want to play with. It might not even be a workhorse for me, but part of me this year really wants to get a full frame camera. After playing around with this setup that looks very close to full frame, I'm like, man, it would be so nice to have this same kind of aesthetic with great autofocus and just kind of, you know, a native lens, right? Like I'm adapting lenses, my autofocus sucks. Sometimes the focus manual doesn't quite register correctly. You know, you're just introducing a lot of issues when you go through an adapter. It's not as weather sealed, you know, the list goes on. Whereas if I had like the EOS R or, you know, a Sony camera with a native lens, I could get this same look, have killer autofocus, and also get really cool full frame images. So if we're being completely real with each other, and if I'm being completely real with you guys, this year I do want to buy a full frame camera. The main holdup for me has been I really like what Sony has to offer, but they don't have a flip screen. I love that Canon has great ergonomics and a flip screen, but I just don't really love their specs. Again, I know that everyone raves about that camera. They rave about the 1080p, they rave about the color science, but for me, I need at least full frame 4K at 24 frames to even consider it. So the EOS R is out for me. And again, I think this year, I think Canon is trying to hit that mark. I think that their new model is gonna do it, but I'm a little nervous at the price point. So anyway, I'll keep you guys updated. We'll probably have a follow-up video, of course, if I do get a full frame camera, but for the time being, I love my current camera setups. I love that I can fit pretty much every sector with my Micro Four Thirds systems. And guys, I would highly recommend it. And you know, just try to find what is best for you. Anyway, guys, I'm rambling. I haven't done one of these videos in forever. This is even my second take because I hated the first one. New office setup. Hope you guys kind of liked it. That is all I have for you today. Hope you guys consider Micro Four Thirds. I have loved shooting in this system, and if not, go find a good full frame option that works for you, or even APS-C, right? Fuji X-T3, killer camera, whatever it is, do your research, find the camera system that works best for you, and stick with it, because at the end of the day, it really does not matter what size your sensor is. It really does not matter the specs of your camera. How you compose, how you light, how you shoot stuff, how you edit stuff is 100% what makes you a great filmmaker or a bad filmmaker. So that being said, peace out. You guys have a good one, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.